Welcome to the HMO Property Show by investors for investors. Brought to you by the HMO Property Co, Australia's leaders in impact investing. Investments made with the intention to generate a measurable, beneficial social or environmental impact alongside a positive financial return. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I'm your host, as always, Neil Gibb, and today I have my good friend, Mr. Matthew White from Rooming House Pro over in sunny Victoria. Matthew, welcome to the podcast.
How's it going, Neil? Really good to be here, man. I'm super excited for this session. Looking forward to sharing and catching up with you and having a bit of a chat.
Yes, mate.
Awesome.
Mate, I love connecting with people in the industry that are doing cool things, and you and Sahara have been hustling away over there in Victoria, mate, and getting some incredible results for yourselves and for your clients as well, mate. So today I think we'll touch on rooming houses. What are rooming houses? What's going on in Victoria? And why are we invested in real estate? Why is rooming house and HMO becoming the go-to investment for savvy investors? Sound like a plan?
Yeah, it's awesome, right? This whole space has evolved so much over the last while, and the what's happening in the economy, these macroeconomics are playing in our favor at the moment, for investors. But also what's so good about what we do is we're providing a safe, affordable, comfortable living for the person on the other end of it, that to provide affordable housing. I love this stuff. It's my passion. I get super excited. I love talking about this. I get pumped doing sessions like this and talking about how we're helping people, because it's awesome. It's a really good feel good type of investment strategy, right? Because what you're also doing by helping people, investors, is great, and we're helping people to be able to create that retirement asset. But there's this big gap in our society that's been left out, that hasn't been adequately serviced, and the regulatory backlog and the complexities of it has made it so that the end user, the person that's renting these places, haven't got enough of it. They haven't got support. They haven't got systems in place that actually look after them. And it boggles my brain that there's not more infrastructure around this. It boggles my brain that there's not more clarity around this. And so what's really good is guys like you and me have looked at this, and we've kind of simplified it and gone deep into it. We've created our value in the space, and what's really good about the investor side of it is that they can plug into with people like us, and we've created these simple processes that people can work with us on, which is really great. I'm really excited about this stuff. If it's okay, you probably have tons of questions. I don't know if you want to kick off your questions. I'll just talk. You got to stop me. I'll just talk.
I think before we get into drilling into the questions about what is a rooming house, what I really like about you, mate, is me and you have had a similar journey to get to where we are today. Me and you both were tied to our jobs with the golden handcuffs, weren't we?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I mean, we met quite a few years ago, and it's really so interesting how these journeys have been the same. You come from this industrial sector. I've come from an industrial sector, and we were working in these jobs. We were good at what we were doing, right? You talk about those golden handcuffs. What does that mean, right? You go to a job, you do your thing, you're doing it really well. You get that pat on the back, right? And oftentimes it's like you don't want to be in the job, but you're getting this good money, right? You're getting this good reward for it, and you're kind of getting an edge on that. And I got caught up in that golden handcuff thing for like so many years, and it actually it frustrates me thinking about it, how that pat on the back kept me going in that job when I knew I had so much more potential. I just had to take that action, and it took me a while. Once I built that vision, or built my platform and looked at co-living as my avenue, boom, we started focusing on that. It became this real awesome journey. It's totally transformed my life. It's given me so much more opportunity, understanding the nuances, investing it, and making it a really fundamental part of what we do.
Yeah,
it's been awesome.
And you got yourself in a position where you replace your income with cash flow from real estate and release them golden handcuffs, and here we are today.
It's a good feeling. I remember the first day when that happened, right? I'd been planning up to it, and I was working in this for my boss, and he was quite an aggressive boss. He was a pushy boss. He was very demanding, and I performed. We worked hard. We did everything, but I just didn't want to be there. Didn't want to argue with all the guys all the time. I was a construction manager, and yelling and screaming and getting things moving all the time was not. It was something I was good at, but I just didn't enjoy that energy. And I remember the day it happened. Right, we got to this point where we had enough cash flow, and I call it my platform. It was enough money to support us that I could take a step back, right? We could work on our real estate. There was this income coming in. It felt good. And I went into work and I resigned. And I literally, it was quite an experience because I literally burned my bridges. and I kind of said, fuck this, I'm not going back. I'm not going back because I'm done with this. And that was the biggest shift for me, was like, you know what? Now I'm doing this real estate thing, this co-living thing. I'm investing fully in it. I've got this money. Now I've got to make it work because there's nothing else now. I'm not going back. And we've pushed forward and we've got momentum through it. And the investing in this has been the big game changer.
Yeah, and we're going to get into why and how and the nuts and bolts of it in a second. But how much more work can you get done with an extra 40, 50, 60 hours a week when you're not working for somebody else?
It's insane.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Home. Yeah, it's insane, right? It's like this. I worked the 8 hours at my job, sometimes 10 hours. We'd come home late at night. We'd be worn out. As an entrepreneur, you've always got these ideas. You want to have your side hustle. You're trying to do these things. So I would come home after work and be after work working on the side hustle, on the weekend working on a side hustle, and I would be drained. I would be absolutely nutted. The day I stopped working for somebody else and I freed up this time, it was like I had all this opportunity now in my lap, and I could do so many things. I could focus on all the side hustles, all the things I was wanting to do. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And then that freedom, that feeling of freedom. Like I work hard, we work hard now. Like, but we do it because we love it, right?
Yeah.
we do it. Like it doesn't even feel like work anymore because you've got this rental income paying you, and you've got this support system. Even if all this stuff didn't work, you've got this rental income coming in, and it's like, all right, I don't have to help people. I can just retire. I can go do what I want to do. But I just love doing this. I just love helping people and talking about this stuff.
It's wicked, isn't it? And there's a chance that this podcast could go for 2 or 3 hours because me and Matt just love talking about property, real estate, cash flow, investing. So strap yourselves in. Matt,
Exactly.
Everybody that reaches out to me that's on the East Coast, and a lot of people in Western Australia reach out to me and ask me, I'll say to me, I want to do a rooming house in Perth. But there's no rooming house in Perth. There's a rooming house is Victorian, and is it Brisbane as well, Queensland thing?
Yeah, I get that a lot as well, right? People come to me and ask me straight up, what's the difference? Neil is doing this HMO thing, right? What is the difference between HMO and rooming houses? And for me, it's very simple. I say to people, look, you got these names, right? Co-living, boarding house, rooming house, all these things that are thrown into it. The simple answer for me is, and I tell people, is that it's just based on where you're located. The regulation have different nuances in every different state, and you have different types of complexities. And so they've been given these names based on those outcomes. And it's pretty much still the same thing for me. It's all communal living, right? It's all around providing accommodation where people are living in a communal environment and they're sharing facilities, right? It's very the same. So, but in each state, you're dealing with it, or you're facing it in a different way, right? So in WA, you're having one type of context, and in Victoria, you're facing another type of context. And it's two different outcomes with the same type of strategy.
And
that's how I look at it.
And
what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's all the same thing, essentially, isn't it? But if you go into the council offices in Western Australia and say, I want to do a rooming house, they'd look at you like you were crazy. But at the same time, if you walked in there and said, I want to do a HMO, they'd also look at you like you were crazy, because in Western Australia, we haven't really got a policy in place like you do in Victoria. And your policy is really good. You can have 9 rooms and 12 people, is that right?
9 rooms, 12 people, yeah.
In Western Australia, we can have up to 6 unrelated people living in a dwelling. So we don't necessarily need to change the classification to a lodging house or boarding house, because we can make some really good cash flow and provide some really good outcomes with having 5 or 6 people living in a house.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think you've got some slides around this as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I'll talk about these in a minute. And at the end of the day, for me, like, can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And talk about a few things. Guys, super excited to be sharing this with you guys, and having an opportunity to catch up with Neil is really, really inspiring. Neil has done so much stuff in this space, and nearly every third client that comes to me talks about Neil. So it's always an inspiration to hear what Neil has to say about the space. But over the last 8 years, me and my partner Sahara have been very diligently working in Victoria, helping to provide affordable housing, where we've been able to create up to over 1,000 safe, convenient, and comfortable rooms in this space. We've helped our clients generate over $3.8 million in upgraded cash flow, and we've currently completed just over, this was 134. We're at about 138 projects now, and we're growing quite well. Our mission is to help property investors, as many as we can. We got a figure of 1,000, where we want to help those people retire early, retire within good quality cash flow investments that are producing cash flow and without overwhelm.
Let's just talk about this for a second, Matt, because what you've achieved there is pretty incredible. 138 rooming houses completed in less than 4 years.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on a minute. Let's just have a little clap for that. That's a lot of work, man.
It's a lot of work. It's been an intense journey.
Yeah.
But it's been also very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Look, we got so many clients that come to us and they're in a negative position, and we are so privileged to be able to help them break free from that. Having our biggest results have been from taking people from negative, where they are now, to positive. It's been phenomenal. And then opening avenues up for people to invest into new build stuff and to create acquisitions where they're buying into this as well. It's really been, I don't think of that as a lot. I think I'm still way behind. There's so much opportunity out there. It's only the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But we just love it. This is a passion.
And over 1,000 people housed as well in clean, safe, convenient, affordable accommodation.
Totally. And every one of our clients follows our model of providing this guarantee of safety, convenience, comfort, and cleanliness. And cleanliness is one of those big things that we push a lot, right? Yeah. Because you can see out in the broad spectrum of share housing out there, the rubbish that's provided, and how poor quality a lot of people provide for their end user, the room renter. And we're very adamant that we need to provide the safety, this convenience, and this comfortable, clean place. And cleanliness is important, right? To make people feel like they're valued, to make people feel like they have something worth living in, that's important to us.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Fully on board with that as well.
So one of my big mantras, and this is a thing that so many people are stuck in negative gearing. They love negative gearing, and I don't know why. I still talk to people I'll say to them, you should have positive cash flow, and they will debate the hell out of me to say that negative gearing is awesome. You can do it in this way and that way and that way. And I'm like, how the hell are you going to grow your portfolio, get into a better position, or have a retirement asset when you're stuck in negative gearing? It is ludicrous that people still think about this stuff, and I go like, what the hell? So I think negative gearing is dead. HMOs, rooming houses, I believe 100% are alive, and this is what we should be thinking about. If we spent the next 25 years building rooming houses and HMOs, we still wouldn't even break the tip of the iceberg, because there's so much demand for good quality housing required in this place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what happens is like the old way of investing, and I mean, people are still going to do this for generations still to come. It's a good way to invest for a lot of people. They like it, whatever. I don't. The new way for me is like take those and provide affordable housing for people, and you're boosting up that rental, like you 3x just on something like this, right? Who wouldn't want to invest? Like if you have that amount of cash flow on a property that's paid down, like that's good money to live on. We'll talk about that in a minute, right? Yeah. That's awesome. Like, who couldn't live on $1,400 a week? I could, easy.
And let's look at the risk that we reduce as well by implementing this strategy. On the left-hand side, you've got a 5-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house with one rental income at $340 a week. And then on the right-hand side, we've got 5 bedrooms, multiple streams of income from the same property, renting out for 3 times as much than it was previously.
Correct. Like if there was like another COVID and people are leaving properties because they can't afford it or whatever, like if you lose a tenant, your one tenant's gone, you're struggling to fill that again. It's hard.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about COVID in a sec, right? You got somebody leaving or 2 people leaving in a property here, you still got a support base of rental income coming in. And that happened to us in COVID. We had all of our portfolio running really well before COVID. It was really great. And then all of a sudden COVID hit and kaboom, 30% of our tenants walked up, got out and left. And we were going, what the heck? But it was only 30%. Like in the grand scheme of things, it was 30%. We had 70% of backup still there. These people stayed all the way through COVID and rent was coming in. It was back up. It was great. It took us a few months to get back to where we were. And then after that, we were great again. It was just like, whoa, that was the litmus test for us, right? That risk base was like all of our property was good. At 70% occupancy, we still survived and made it through easily.
Yep.
Whereas I have a lot of friends that have invested in this space and they were struggling through this time through COVID in this model, right?
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer. It really is.
It is. Once you understand this strategy and you see the benefits of it, it is a no-brainer. We've had clients work with us, and when we rent the rooms out, all 6 rooms, and we get them, most times now, we get them more than what we estimate in the pre-project feasibility that we do for them. The room rates are always $10, $20 more each. So they actually ring us back up and they go, man, I can't believe this actually worked. I'm like, of course it worked. This is what we do all day, every day.
It's awesome, right? And I get that context of when you're doing your feasibilities or you're working with people, we do the same. We've got to be conservative, right? We've got to be, hey, at worst case, this is where we're at, right? And I like to talk to clients like that because I don't want to oversell, right? And it's really awesome. Then you go and you feel the place and these rents are better. So awesome. It's better to be better than to have your expectations at the right place, right?
Yeah,
and it's important to be real about this because it could be that level. But hey, we got a system. You got a system. Our system works. Follow that system and you get the better results, right? Step out of that system and then you're not going to have the same value as well. Trying to do it by yourself is a lot harder. And these are the types of results, right? We had this client that came to us. They had this property and they were negative geared. And it was only a small project for us, but it's a great case study. They were negative geared and they came to us and we helped them create 6-bedroom, 2-bathroom property. It was a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Very simple conversion for us. They went up to 1,680. Now, this was a while ago. They're doing 1,800 plus at the moment on their rentals. Like, that's amazing for a little 600.
4X.
I mean, a 6-bedroom property, right?
It's incredible.
They bought this a few years ago. They bought it as their first property, and they were struggling. They didn't know what to do. They came to us. We helped them, and now it's 1,680 a week or 1,800 a week now currently. What? That's awesome, man. Loads of those. I'll take them any day of the week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But a lot of questions that people ask me, Matt, is do we get capital growth in these things? Have you seen much capital growth in these properties? It's
relative, right? So I'll look at it like this. This is the thing, right? Where's my little slide? I'll quickly go to this. Cash flow. Capital growth, right? Your lump sum money, right? And it's all about mindset. It's all about setting yourself up for your future. What does that look like? Even, right? Where are you going to go with equity? If you have equity and you're fixated on equity, you can use equity to reinvest. Of course, it has this thing when you're younger, you've got this idea, I want to grow equity. But then what happens? You're going to sell that down to live. You can't eat capital gains, right? You said that to me early on. We were talking before this. You can't eat capital gains. You can only live off cash flow. So if you think about this, right? And I'm going to bounce around a little bit here because it's a story that I want to dive into, a little rabbit hole, right? It's this thing. retirement. If capital gains is your only focus, then you're missing the point, because what is an asset worth to you when you get to this retirement? We've only got X amount of years, guys. Like, there's no more years than you get, right? Say we're all grateful that technology is involved and we live to 100, right? We live to 100, so our end of life is 100. Let's assume. We're going to live to 80, I don't care, whatever. No one knows exactly, right? But let's say 100. You've got only so many years to take action on something, right? And if you take action, you get a good result. You get that financial independence. If you're not taking action, you're going to be in a position where you're not in a good position, right? It's like you get to retirement. And if this couple here had a whole lot of equity, but they had no income, what does that mean, right? It doesn't put you in any position. But if you have cash flow, you have money coming into the bank every week, and you don't have to worry about degrading that money, that saving that you have, then you're in a good position. That's a real good lifestyle, right? And that's what we're all kind of aiming for. So you have this thing about capital growth, right? Great. Awesome. You get capital growth. Your asset base is growing. That to me means I'm creating generational wealth. My equity is going to go to my kids. And I want to show them how to use it properly. Not for me to use. Okay, I can use it maybe to invest in a few more, but I want to have a cash flow base, because I want to create generational wealth that I can use to pass down to my kids. So when you look at this idea of lump sum money, what are you going to do with equity? Maybe you're putting equity into your property, right? You got one property, you've got your PPI. In 10 years time, it's worth $1 million. You've got a $400,000 mortgage on it still. You pay it down, you get this lump sum money, $600,000. It's only $600,000, yep. Right? Think about this. When you are retiring, like, let's take this and put it into a formula. And I like this formula because it really makes sense. ASFA predicts that at the moment, currently, right, our current comfortable lifestyle equation is for a couple $69,000, 691, right? If we break that down into a weekly livable amount, that's 1,342. That's good. That's reasonable. I can live pretty well on 1,342 with Sahara, right? That's a good income. Now, if you're retiring at 60 and you need 40 years of income, the lump sum degraded money that you need is $2.7 million, right? Which is not easy to do when you're trying to save up, and then you get what equity you're going to create, right? It's not that easy. There's a much easier formula, right? So $3 million. Now, that doesn't include inflation, because in 40 years' time, guess what's going to happen to that money? It's not worth shit. Yeah. You lost the 30% on that money. It's like, it's a very mute discussion, right?
And plus, when you look at that $1,300 a week, Matt, that's living comfortably. That's not holidays. That's not new cars. That $1,300 a week is going to pay for living expenses and the odd meal out. And if you're retired, you're not going to be one to sat in the house 6 days a week and only going out once a week. Hey, you've worked hard all of your life to retire and enjoy your life.
So yes, that's right. So that $1,300 is just to live comfortably, right? It's just so that you can provide for yourself and eat, and you have a few restaurants and stuff. Maybe you could save up and go on a holiday once a year. Like, it's a comfortable kind of living, right? Like, there's people that don't even come close to that, right? Like, modest lifestyle is about 45. What does modest mean, right? And if you look at the data, most people that get to retirement are in a pretty bad shape. Most people. So it's about creating a plan, a game plan. And the game plan is this, right? Forget about equity. Like, you're using equity. If you're going to use equity, you're going to be using that to invest, maybe get another, right? Or maybe another. Like, but be smart about how that looks. Because when you get to the point of retirement, a cash flow asset that's paying you week after week after week is what it's all about. Right? You got to a point, your rental income is coming in and it's pumping out money. You live. If you think about this, we just talked about $1,300, right? If you had one property like what I was showing you before, sorry, I'm just bouncing around here. If you had one property like this, right? Currently, it's $1,800 a week. That was paid down, regardless of what the equity is doing. You can freaking live on that. You can have a retirement. You can go and do shit. One property. So you spend 10, 15 years doing 2 of these properties. What a lifestyle you're going to have by the time you get to retirement. Like, that's freaking exciting. I want to swear, but
no, you can tell by the passion in this guy's voice. He's pretty passionate about what he does, yeah?
It's awesome. It's about planning for the future. And here's the thing, right? The big elephant is the room. So many people want to have 20 properties. Like, what the hell do you want to have 20 properties for? Think about the formula here that we're talking about. Like, Neil and me are living this formula, and we're helping people all the time in this space. It's, you have these retirement assets. Mortgage down means cash flow up. It's simple. Mortgage down, cash flow up. You're manufacturing equity if you're paying down that mortgage, so that when you get to retirement, you've got money to live on. You can do stuff, right? And not have to hold on to or sell this asset so that you can survive, and then you're living modestly. And that's not a way to live. And so look at what you can do to make that happen. You have a property, it's now cash flow positive, not negative. You don't have to draw money from your income and beg and borrow and steal to pay the property down. It's got cash flow. So one of your strategies for pay down is rental income, right? You work out, if you have a normal property versus a cash flow asset, and you're using that cash flow to pay down that property, you got a 30-year loan, it cuts it down half, right? Just by using the rental income, because as you're paying that down, you're getting less and less. The income's going up, and that time frame is coming down dramatically. But you throw in extra, maybe your income, maybe you got a side hustle, maybe you got this extra thing that you're doing. Maybe you're doing other real estate ventures like developments or whatever. Boom. In 5 to 7 years, if you really planned well, you could pay down one of these assets. You could be retired in 5 to 7 years. There's no doubt you can do it if you plan it, right? I know this because I did it. You take whatever you've got right now, you punch into it, you put the effort into 5, 7 years, you get out of the rat race and you go and live your lifestyle, right? And it doesn't mean, sorry, I'm rambling a lot, but I love this stuff, right? Sorry, Neil, if I'm just taking over here. But
go for it,
buddy. I'm going to talk about this because this is my mission, right? I talk to people about the platform. When I was in my job, one of the big ideas I had was that I needed a platform. I needed something that was my retirement stepping stone, right? I needed something that I could fall back on. And what I did is I calculated how much money I needed to survive and have a job and have a small business operational. Like, what does all our expenses come up to? And at that time, it was about $2,000 a week, give or take, right? And so that became my fixation. What did I have to do to make that amount of money to get to my retirement platform? Now, here's the thing. I didn't retire, for goodness sakes. It wasn't that I had to just stop living my life and go travel the world and do that stuff as much as what I would like to do that. I do this stuff that I do because I love doing it, and I grew. I got to this point where I had this platform. I had real estate paying me money. And this platform became my focus. It was like, do this for 5 years, kick it down, put all these other things into place that I was talking about, pay down, invest, work hard, 5 to 7 years, right? 5 years, I was done. I was out of it. I had enough cash flow using these different strategies so that I could live comfortably, not super wealthy. Like, it wasn't about being rich at this point. It was about having enough that I could survive. And now I felt good, right? I could breathe. And I was like, my bills are paid.
It's about time, isn't it? It's all about time. You're buying back time and making yourself unemployable.
Buying back time, exactly. Buying back time. I love it. and once I was able to buy my time, me and Sahara worked really hard to make that happen. It was, hey, where are we going now? Where are we going with the rest of our life? We're going to go on a journey now of exploration, diving into our dreams, making things a reality, building businesses, helping people, all these other things that now we can do. And hey, guess what? If all this other stuff goes to shit, we've still got our platform. That's what's so good about this, right? You have these assets, they're for life. They're good, they're there, they're making you money, right? And then if all this other stuff doesn't work out, so what? I still got this other money coming in. I can live off that. I can go and travel the world, do whatever I want. Go to the beach, whatever. But I don't do that because I'm a passionate entrepreneur.
It gets boring after a bit, mate, doesn't it? You can go to the beach 3 or 4 days on the bounce, and then you're like, I need to get my teeth sank into something.
Yeah, exactly. And we've tried that. We tried that, and boring is not good. When you're an entrepreneur, you're pumped and you want to do stuff in this world. Just sitting down on the beach, relaxing, it is it doesn't really add value, right? And so
It's good to recharge, but it's not a long-term thing, is it?
no way. You start getting ideas in your head, right? And you start thinking about stuff. You say, well, hey, what's the next thing I can do? Hey, can I talk a little bit about this stuff?
Absolutely, mate. Yep.
So here's the thing, and this is the same in every state. Like, I've done the research. I use Victoria's numbers because we're in Victoria and we provide accommodation in this space. But here's the thing, and the reality of this is across Australia. If you had a room of 100 people, 25 of them are lone households.
It's crazy.
25 people. That's a quarter of the population. Quarter. Like, when I started diving into this data, it blew my mind. It was like, holy crap. 1 in 4 of us live alone, live by themselves in a room or in a single unit or whatever that is, right? In Victoria, that equates to about 1.3 million people. And that's growing at a rapid rate because of all the influx of new people coming into the country now. 1.3 million people live by themselves, right? That's crazy. But here's the sad part. And it's across the board. There's only a supply of about 4% of actually this purpose-designed real estate for the lone household. 4%. You guys can go and do the data, go to the ABS and go and check it out. I've done all this research. It's 4%, right? That is sad. As a society, as a community, as a group of investors and people, and even the government, this is what we've come up with. And we don't realize that there's this huge deficit that we're facing right here. And this is the power of what's you're investing in such a low risk avenue, because we're working with this high demand area, right? And we're going to provide something that people want.
If you're
What's
building,
really crazy,
if you're building a 4x2 in suburbia, that is 10 times riskier than if you're building a 6 or a 9-bedroom house in an area where there's demand for single or lone person households. I mean, like you say there, 25% is a big number. And on top of that as well, we've also got all these mental health issues and people that are complaining about feeling lonely and disconnected from the world. It's because they finish the job where they're sat in a booth on their own in front of a laptop. They jump on the train or the tube or the bus and they get back to the house on their own and they sit there watching Netflix on their own.
Totally, exactly. And this community living is this whole connection, right? To give people an opportunity, because people are coming from all walks of life.
Yeah,
it's not just a specific type of person. Like, people think it's students or this nurses or whatever. Looking at, it's a mixed demographic, right? And it's this mixed demographic that creates community. People from, all other walks of life, different parts of the world, coming together in the kitchen and chatting and sharing their stories and telling about their growing ups and all the stuff they do, right? I've seen this a lot. We've lived in properties where we've had people around us that are in the shared environment, and we hear the stories they tell, people that have come from really hard and harsh environments, and they've struggled through to create something for themselves. And these stories are just so beautiful and magical. Like, people are, you when you're in this environment, you're living with people like this, and you hear these stories, you go, oh man, I'm privileged, right? I'm super blessed. Because some people have put in the hard yards to try and get somewhere in life, and they put the effort. Like, I've spoken to people that come across in boats. People have come where they've lost mums and dads and families, right? And they're just trying to make a way for themselves. And it's crazy, the stories. And we're creating this connection, bringing people together and getting them an opportunity to come live together and grow in this world, It's really awesome. And if you ask, like, there's a lot of different types of people in this category, right? There's a lot of people. But if you ask people what they really want, right? They want these 4 critical things. These are the big selling points I find for what people want in this space. It's they want safety, they want convenience, they want cleanliness, and they want comfort. That's what they want. And if you provide this in your investment, you're going to have a long-term, low-risk, high-quality investment. And that's what we're passionate about providing. But here's the thing, right? We add up the numbers in Melbourne, right? It's crazy. It just blows my mind, right? There's only 112,000 one-bedroom and studio apartments in Melbourne. That's all there is, 112. As a single house loan person, like, what do? You're not going to get a two-bedder. You maybe share with us someone, and that creates a problem because now you're taking those from families, right? The government hasn't created this outcome where we can have more of this stuff provided so that families aren't getting affected either. Because you go and have a share house, right? And then families are getting affected. So we're not creating these studio, one bedroom, all rooming house and co-living spaces. Like, there's not enough of it. What's the government doing to help us create this? Luckily, we as investors are making some kind of solution. Imagine if we weren't helping in this space, it would be a mess, right? And it has been a mess. There's only 1,400 registered rooming houses in Victoria. Can you believe it? Only 1,400 at the moment. It blows my mind. That's 11,000 rooms.
This is interesting. This is very interesting.
Only 11,000 rooms. Like, it's crazy. Like, how the hell does somebody not realize this stuff? Like, does somebody not get out there? Like, this is why I talk to my clients and I say, well, we've got a great opportunity right now, right? If you add all that up, if you add studios and rooming house rooms, it's not even 144,000, right? Not even 140 something thousand, right? You got 1.3 million people wanting to get stuff in this place, or they need accommodation. They need accommodation. A lot of these people will be prepared to pay higher rents for it. A lot. A big portion of them, you're providing stuff like facilities, en suites, kitchenettes or whatever you can provide for them. People want that, right? Little hubs where they can have their own little conveniences. There is a big part of that population that needs what's not being provided. It's crazy. And that's what's exciting about me, is we're in a good place to provide this opportunity.
This slide here, Matt, I really like that, where it says only 1,400 registered rooming houses in Victoria. When you're in this space, and or when clients reach out to me, they'll say, "Oh, everybody's doing this now," and what they're saying is their reticular activating system has been switched on to this strategy because now they're aware of it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to look for this more," and it feels like everybody's doing it, but literally no one's doing it. 11,200 rooms in Melbourne is not a lot of rooms, is it? Like, you just pointed that out there in the statistics. In Western Australia, we've got a couple of student accommodation around universities. I'm not sure how many, but in the way of rooms that we provided to the market in Perth, 560 rooms, we've housed about 600 people. We haven't even scratched the surface.
It's totally true, man.
It's crazy.
And here's the thing. Look, there are a lot of people doing this. Here's the thing that you and me know for sure, right? Is that it needs to be done right. You need to follow a system.
Yes.
Everybody seems to willy-nilly get into this sometimes thinking they're going to run this themselves. You can learn from the experts first. Learn how to get this thing right. Because if you want to build a long-term cash flow asset, you need to have a process. And Neil and myself have been in this space for so long. We know the nuances. We know the little pieces of the puzzle to put together to help people expedite this. Because you can do this wrong. You can get into the space, and I see it a lot. People do rubbish, they don't know what they're doing, and they mess it all up.
Or they push the boundaries too much, and they create unsafe living environments within these houses.
Correct.
Too many people, overcrowded, being too greedy. There is some really bad operators out there, and it gives.
We're reaching. There's only a tip of the iceberg, guys. If we were in this space for 25 years, just constantly building this stuff, we wouldn't even scratch the surface. Like right now, this is what the data says. In 10 years' time, this country is exploding with growth. Right after COVID, there was when COVID happened and they stopped the people coming in. It wasn't like people still didn't want to come in. It started creating a backlog, right? So there's backlog of people that have evolved, and now they're coming into this country. They're going to keep coming in, and they're going to keep coming in. And we do not have enough accommodation. We do not in any state, WA, Victoria, whatever it is. There's not enough supply. There's not going to be enough supply even in the next 10 years. And we're in the perfect situation to be able to invest in this space. If you're an investor and you're thinking about that context that Neil just said, everybody's doing this, man, not everybody's doing this, and not everybody's doing it right. You've got a lot of opportunity. Now's the perfect time.
That statistic could get worse. That single and lone person household could get worse, and will get worse as more people move to this country. It's the greatest country on the planet. People want to be in here. You know, there's people always say there's a lot of English people here. That's because everybody wants to leave England and move here and get some good weather, some good opportunities, and live a really good lifestyle. When people move to the country, a lot of them move on their own, and they need accommodation like this.
Totally, man. Totally. It's a scary phenomenon. It's a scary thought when you think about this. But, you know, being in the space and helping to provide this type of accommodation also is a good feeling, because you know that you can create a solution, to help people. And as investors, we're on the crux of that, right? We can take that and help the community, plus help ourselves to create a better cash flow position, right, through this scenario.
Absolutely. Profit for purpose, we call it.
Profit, I like that. Profit for purpose. Absolutely. Totally.
We need to make a profit, Matt. Otherwise, if you run a business which is negatively geared, like a property, then you've got a very expensive hobby, haven't you? And it won't last very long, and you can't help many people.
Exactly, man. That's so true. And here's the thing I like to tell people, right? And it's this scenario, right? So many people are getting caught up by this whole guru stuff in real estate. You do this, you're going to have instant riches, right? Buy this property and you'll have money. You'll be retired in like 2 years and blah, 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 all this nonsense. And here's the reality, guys. The easy road does not exist in real estate. I'm sorry to tell you that. It doesn't. You've got to plan. You've got to produce for the long term. If you do it right, you get that happening, right? There's no instant riches. Forget about it. But here's the thing. A lot of people then are in this space. Most people are in this space, right? They're trying to do shit by themselves. They're trying to figure it out, and they struggle. They're in this learning phase, trying to pick through the bones of it until they end up with nothing, right? And I get so many clients coming to me who are in a not so good situation, who've been investing for years and haven't followed processes, haven't followed systems, and haven't had support along the way. And I go like, seriously, guys, there's people out here that have got experience. They've got processes, they've got systems that are in place, and they're ready to help, right? And smart people will come and speak to people like me and Neil, right? Smart people will do this. They'll come and get support because they know that there's a proven model. And when that happens, we are able to help those people go through this journey so much more effectively, so much easier, because we've gone through we've made the mistakes. We've spent quite a few years making mistakes. And what's also good is that we have so many people that we've worked with, that we've seen all the problems that have happened. And when you come and get support, it makes life so much easier, right? Yes, it costs a bit of money, of course, but you're investing in your future. You're investing in your lifestyle, your financial independence, right? Because you've only got a few years, guys. We've all only got a certain amount of time.
The clock is
and
ticking.
What we do with those years is critical, right? It's critical, because otherwise, you know what's going to happen. You procrastinate, you hold back. You get into a place where you're forced into retirement. You don't even get a choice then, right? You get to 70 then, and they say, well, sorry, no more. You've got no more time, girl. You've got no more time. It's done. You're over. Go, just, society gives up on you. But if you plan and you create that opportunity of financial independence, you can do this so much quicker, getting the right help, and investing in this type of cash flow positive real estate is where it's at for me. Totally transformed my life.
Have you had any clients, Matt, that have built a rooming house and lived in it themselves whilst they're renting out the other rooms and technically living there rent-free?
There's this whole idea of it that I love, that context, because the stuff that we create has this purpose for people to do that. I will tell you right now that I live, like my office right now, right here, is a purpose-built property where I live. We live upstairs, and downstairs we've got multiple rooms that we rent out that pays for this property. Like we're about 45% paid down on this property, and they live really comfortably, they live really well, and they love living here because we're here in the property with them, right? It's a good little rapport thing. It's designed where we kind of separated from them, but we do it. It's exactly what we do. And I live by that philosophy. If you can do that, living rent-free and having people paying for your property, like,
It's incredible.
Awesome.
It's incredible.
Awesome. Why wouldn't you do that? And we're living that. We're actually doing what you just talked about.
Eat, sleep, and breathe rooming houses.
That's totally true. I've been living in shared accommodation, I kid you not, for nearly 22 years. 22 years I've lived in shared accommodation, and I freaking love it. Right? Maybe 1 or 2 years of my life I've literally lived in apartments and whatever. But for most of my life, I've lived in shared accommodation. For 8 years, I've done it professionally, where I've been in control of the environment. But for most of my life, it's been shared accommodation. I think it's a new way of life, right? Living in a communal type environment. Like, why not? Hearing people's stories, talking to people, meeting new people. It's great.
And when we look at the change in the demographic as well, the ABS released the stats recently to say that the Gen Y is now the biggest population in the different generations that's around right now. Now, whilst this style of accommodation isn't targeted specifically towards them, this is a style of living that these guys are going to be getting used to, because the way they want to live is changing, isn't it? There's no house on the big block, which used to be the old Australian dream. Like, the way people are living and wanting to live is changing drastically, isn't it?
Oh, totally. I love this. Yes, of course. Gen Y, right? Here's the thing, Gen Ys are in big trouble, right? You go, and Gen Ys are like, they're coming out into the world, they're flourishing, they're getting jobs, they're coming out of university, all that kind of stuff, and they're going out to the market looking for rentals, right? In any city near where they want to be situated, you go and look, and we've done this, we've gone to look for rentals, right, in that 2-bedroom space or 1-bedroom space, 20 to 30 people at a time trying to get that accommodation, right? It's forcing a lot of those Gen Ys into the shared environment, share housing thing, which is like just a lot of random people renting out rooms, right? They try and get community. It's not purpose created. And you go and ask any of those Gen Ys, what would they like right now? They want something affordable, and they want something with their own amenities, right? And this is a thing that we're creating. We're custom building solutions for what that Gen Y wants. They want a little private accommodation thing, a studio type environment, right? With a room, the bed, the TV, internet, all that stuff, a little kitchen, and their own private bathroom. That's what they want. So if you created a whole lot of these things, you're going to be tapping into this massive market of Gen Ys, especially in the couple space, that want this stuff super bad, and they're prepared to pay because they've got good jobs. They just want this transient place to be in, or somewhere where they can be comfortable and have their own shower and toilet. Like, it's a big thing, right? Shower and toilet. And so as this big population has evolved, we now have this opportunity to tap into that and provide something for them that they want. It's awesome, right? And then who doesn't want their own private toilet and shower? Like, that's the big thing, right?
And it's super convenient, like you said. And this is the world that we're moving into now. Like, at the click of a button, you can get food dropped off at your front door. That's convenient. At the click of a button, you can get picked up at your front door by someone that doesn't even drive a taxi and get dropped off wherever you want to go. Like, the world is becoming more and more convenient. If you can rent a space that's fully furnished with all bills included, and somebody cleans the common area, and all you need to do in the morning is wake up, use the bathroom, whatever, make your food, and then go to work and come back, and you've only got this small space to look after. That is super convenient. And for the Gen Ys, this is what they're wanting now.
Boom.
What have you got in the way of older tenants, Matt? What's your oldest tenant that you've got renting a room?
Wow, that's a good question. I've had tenants of all ages. I suppose around about 65 is the oldest we've had. We've got such a broad range. We've had from 18 all the way up to 65. Like, there has been no specific age group. Like, it's for everybody, right?
Yeah. Our oldest...
we've had mums, we've had dads, we've had students, we've had retirees, we've had everybody staying in our accommodations.
Yeah. Our oldest tenants that we've got in our portfolio so far, 73 and 74.
Wow!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And do they love it?
They love it. They'd say they'd never live in a house on their own again because they love being in that shared environment.
That's so cool. And there's another big part of the community that's not being that's being undersupplied, right? The retirement. When you're getting older and you want to downgrade and you don't want to have all this burden or stuff, you have something small and convenient like that, is really super, right? I think there's a kind of a mental shift that needs to happen in that space. But I think there's a big portion of our community in the space where they've done their work, they've lived their life, and now they just want something easy and convenient. Really good to create these communities for an older generation to be able to live together, that has got good disability access to it, and it's got its purpose designed for that kind of environment. I think there's a big opportunity in that space as well, and I love that. I love that part of it as well.
It's amazing how many people you can help once you start looking into real estate in general, but when you start niching down into rooming house, HMO, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just co-living spaces. There's so much opportunity. I've got clients that come to me from all walks of life that want to invest. They've got good money to invest, and they want to provide this stuff. And so we're helping them create a lot of crisis accommodation, a lot of not the upper level NDIS, but NDIS. That's where you don't have to have all this heavy disability type scenario. We're helping create stuff like that. A lot of we got clients that are working down where they're helping to provide accommodation for women and single women with kids and stuff like that. There's all these avenues that you can go down where you can help the community and provide an outcome and still have a good asset looking after you,
Yeah, it's magical, isn't it? Last question, Matt. I don't think I prompted you on this one, but and I kind of know the answer, but if you had $1 million to invest today, what would you invest in and why?
That's a good question. Tell me this. Is it $1 million in loan or $1 million in cash?
It's cash.
Cash. Okay, so $1 million in cash. Right now, I'd buy 2 rooming houses, 2 6-bedroom rooming houses. I would invest in them and I'll put $500K in each one of them, have them sow cash flow, and that cash flow is going to just keep pumping into those 2 assets and setting them up the way that we're doing them. In 10 years' time, or even less, 7 years' time, I would have 2 cash flow assets creating me about $3,000 to $4,000 a week.
Worth $2 million, yeah. So you've doubled your money and created a heap of cash flow.
Yeah. And I got all this cash flow, and I'm done. I'm retired. I'm off. See ya.
I'll be back in 2 weeks because I get bored too easy.
Totally. That's it.
Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you. Like I said, mate, we could have talked about this for ages. We could have dug so deep into some of them things that you were talking about, mate. But let's do it again in the future, hey?
Awesome, man. Yeah, totally. Really good catching up with you, Neil. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the chat. And we'll talk again soon.
You're very welcome, mate.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you stay up to date with all the cash flow positive property updates.